Hello Twilights, welcome or welcome back to Twilight Corner. So in today's video we are going to be reading the chapter A Letter to God for class 10th, and we are going to be doing this. I think this is the book for first flight, yeah, and this is for class 10th CBSE English. So let's start. But before we start, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and also share this video with your friends and help me reach 100 subscribers till the end of the month. So yeah, let's start. And this chapter, A Letter to God, is written by G.L. Fluence. So let's start. Before you read, this they say faith can move mountains, but what should we put our faith in? And this is the question that this story delicately poses. Meaning in this chapter is that that faith, विश्वास जो होता है, that can move mountains and do something great for us. But what should we put our faith or विश्वास in? What is that thing? So this chapter is basically going to tell us how we can put our faith in on something or the other. So basically we can put our faith to God, right? So this is the question that the this chapter we're going to be answering. So over here, Lencho is a farmer who writes a letter to God when his crops are ruined, asking for 100 pesos. Does Lencho's letter reach God, and does God lend him money or send him money? Think of what your answers and these questions would be, and guess how the story continues before you read it. तो देखो, लेंचो ओवर हियर इज अ फार्मर, ओके. तो वो ही ऑलवेज राइट्स अ लेटर टू गॉड. ही रोट अ लेटर टू गॉड when his crops got ruined. He asked God that could you lend me 100 pesos. But let's see, does he get actually 100 pesos or not, and does God actually help him out or not? So this is the question, and we're going to be reading about this. So think what could be the end or the conclusion of the story. So let's start. There is a small activity given here. So before we start, let's just quickly go through it. What is it? One of the cheapest ways to send money to someone is through a post office. Have you ever sent or received money in a way? And here's what you have to do. So as you read the instructions, discuss with your teachers in the class and meanings of these words. Counter, one second. counter Counter clerk, appropriate, acknowledgement, counterfoil, record. Consult a dictionary if needed. And are you going to actually are these words corresponding to the English in your language? So basically over here, have you ever sent a mail or sent money to someone through a post office? तो mail में तुम डाल के पैसे भेज सकते हो, right? And have you ever received money like that? रक्षा बंधन में वगैरह वगैरह, you do receive money like that. But we have to also find out some meanings of some things, right? So over here I'm going to tell you some of the meanings that it over here it means. So over here, the first one is counter. Counter का मतलब it is basically like a long flat surface, you could say, like a slab or something that is used for transactions, food preparations वगैरह वगैरह. ठीक है. Then you have, what is it? Once again, you have your counter clerk. अब देखो, clerk का meaning तो it would be kind of like a person or something, right? तो counter clerk is basically the employee who is basically designated to do this stuff. For example, this is a counter. तो counter पे जो भी clerk या employee बैठता है to help you out with this stuff, that is known as counter clerk. Okay, so it is basically a customer facing employee who works at a designated counter in retail service or rental business. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट यू कॉल इट, एक्नॉलेजमेंट. उससे पहले अप्रोप्रिएट का मतलब क्या होता है? इट समथिंग दैट इट शुड बी करेक्ट और समथिंग दैट इज गुड और समथिंग लाइक दैट. तो नेक्स्ट वर्ड इज एक्नॉलेजमेंट. इट इज बेसिकली टू एक्सेप्ट, एडमिट और रिकग्नाइज द ट्रूथ ऑफ वॉट एवर इट इज एंड एग्जिस्टेंस और वैलिडिटी ऑफ समथिंग दैट यू गिविंग, कि हाँ भाई ये सही चीज़ है. अप्रोप्रिएट मतलब सही, मतलब कहते हैं ना अप्रोप्रिएट तरह से यू कैन ईट और ड्रेस, लाइक ऐसे बोलते हैं ना लोग, पता तो बोलते हैं ना. तो why do they say it? तो appropriate का मतलब होता है it is supposed to be in a something suitable और fitting manner, है ना, कि according to occasion dress like that. मान लो कोई function है, like सम इंडियन वेडिंग और इंडियन पार्टी, तो उसमें बोला गया तुम एथनिक ड्रेस पहन के आओगे, तो इसलिए अप्रोप्रिएट ड्रेसिंग रहेगा कि तुम साड़ी या फिर सूट वगैरह पहन के जाओ, ऐसे है ना, तो उसी को कहते हैं अप्रोप्रिएट का मतलब। नेक्स्ट वर्ड है तुम्हारा काउंटर फॉइल। काउंटर फॉइल क्या होता है, एक मिनट बता रही हूँ। काउंटर फॉइल का मतलब तुम्हारा, काउंटर फॉइल का मतलब होता है तुम्हारा एक डिटैचेबल पार्ट, लाइक चेक होता है ना, चेक, चेक ऑर्डर टिकट जिसमें तुम मनी ट्रांजैक्ट करते हो, तो इट इज बेसिकली एक ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट रिटन बाय द इशूअर फॉर अ परमानेंट रिकॉर्ड, रिसीट वगैरह वगैरह। तो ऑल ऑफ दिस इज नेसेसरी, राइट। तो इफ यू वांट यू कैन जस्ट लुक एट द डिक्शनरी। तो मैंने इसमें तुम्हारे वर्ड्स के मीनिंग्स बता दिए। अब देखो क्या है इसमें। तो तुम्हें अगर मान लो किसी को पैसे भेजने, तो तुम क्या करोगे? Inside the post office, go and counter mark the money order, then buy a money order, that is MO form, and by paying 50 paise to the person behind the counter. तो तुम काउंटर पे जाओगे जहाँ पे मनी मार्क ऑर्डर रहेगा, फिर मनी ऑर्डर के पास जाओगे, तो यू विल बाय द फॉर्म एंड पे 50 पैसे टू बाय द फॉर्म, एंड देन फिल द फॉर्म इन ब्लॉक क्रेडिटर्स preferably, and then pay the counter clerk some amount of money, whatever the charges are there, and then take the MO for acknowledgement counterfoil for your record। मतलब MO मतलब मनी के acknowledgement, और basically you could say मनी का you would say what do you call it, करेक्ट और सूटेबल मैनर में। एंड काउंटर फॉइल का मतलब अभी जस्ट बताया, इट इज बेसिकली काइंड ऑफ लाइक ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट और रिकॉर्ड दैट यू कीप, राइट। तो आई होप ये समझ में आ गया होगा। दिस इज बेसिकली द फॉर्म दैट यू विल रिसीव ऑफ द एमओ। ठीक है, तुम इधर अपने रुपीज़ जितने पे करने हो ये सब लिखोगे, फिर तो किसको पे करना है अपना पिन लिखोगे, सिग्नेचर वगैरह डालोगे, पोस्ट मास्टर, एंड देन नाम वगैरह थोड़ा बहुत लिखना पड़ता है, आइडेंटिफायर, विटनेस वगैरह। तो ये तुम्हारा एमओ, फिर ये सब जाएगा। तो दिस इज योर फॉर्म, ओके। So fill out the money order form given below using the clues and then answer it। तो ये तुम खुद से कर लेना। अब चलो, नाउ लेट्स एक्चुअली थिंक अबाउट एंड स्टार्ट द चैप्टर। अरे अच्छा, think about who you will send the money and how much money you want to send, and you might want to send money to a magazine subscription or relative or friend। तुम्हें मान लो जिसको भी पैसे भेजने वो सोचो, and then or you may want to fill out the form yourself, and as a sender yourself, and receiver as your partner, whoever would be, and use a part of your pocket money and submit the form to the nearest post office, and it's done। Now enjoy the money by the post, and notice that what of the forms whatever you get as a form of official use of acknowledgement, and what would be the space for communication। ठीक है, ये कुछ नहीं है, बस छोटा सा एक activity explain किया गया है। Now addition to this, you also have to send the form, has to be signed by the receiver। The acknowledgement section should also be like by the post office should also sign it। The space for communication जो रहता है तुम्हारा, this one, space for communication should also be filled up, right, कि तुम्हारा stamp वगैरह होना चाहिए। And there are supposed to be 6 sections in the form where the sender needs to fill out the all of their details and stuff, and then receiver को मिलता है। Okay, now let's actually finally start the chapter without any further delay। Oh god, 8 मिनट तो एक्टिविटी एक्सप्लेन करने में लग गया, बट कोई ना, okay, it's fine। So the house, the only in the entire valley, देखो एक house है which is only in the entire valley, ठीक है, so it is only in the entire valley, has sat on the crest of the low hill। From the height of one could see the river from the field of the ripe corn dotted with the flowers, and always promised a good harvest। The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower, throughout the morning. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast। अब देखो, there was a house, okay, there was a house in the entire valley, there was only one house in the entire valley। जो तुम्हारे वैलीज रहते हैं ऐसे ऐसे वाले, अरे अच्छी ड्राइंग बना के एक्सप्लेन करो यार, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है। रुको अच्छे से ड्रॉ करती हूँ। देखो मान लो ये तुम्हारे वैलीज हो गए, ये तुम्हारे वैलीज हो गए, ठीक है। तो ये तुम्हारा घर हो गया। तो दिस वाज द ओनली एंटायर हाउस विच वाज देयर इन द वैली, ओके। दिस वाज द ओनली एंटायर हाउस इन द वैली, sat on the crest of the low hill, ये low hill के which was on the top of the hill, this was the crest and this was the low hill, तो सबसे lowest hill में रहेगा ना, तो ये इधर तुम्हारा घर होगा, ठीक है। From the height one could see the river, and the field of ripe corn dotted with the flowers, always promised for a good harvest. अब देखो मान लो ये तुम्हारा, एक सेकंड अच्छे से ड्रॉ करके बताती हूँ। ये तुम्हारा लो हिल है, ठीक है, इधर तुम्हारा घर है। इस घर से यू कैन सी सम रिवर्स, देयर वुड बी अ रिवर, राइट, देयर वुड बी अ रिवर फ्लोइंग, यू कुड सी, एंड देयर वुड बी अ फील्ड, where there would be ripe corn growing, and then there would also be flowers which always had a good harvest, the only thing the earth needed was a downpour of shower of water, मतलब needed a water का shower, मतलब rain चाहिए था। Throughout the morning, Lencho was, he knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else to see the sky towards the northeast. तो उसने सिर्फ नॉर्थ ईस्ट की तरफ जो था स्काई देखा था सिर्फ, because he wanted to see whether it will rain or not. So now we're really going to get some water, women. The woman was preparing supper, replied, "Yes, God willing." अब देखो, now Lencho says that over here we have to wait for some water to come out, right? And the woman replied that yes, but it is supposed to be on God's will कि whether it will rain or not, he only will decide. The older boys were working in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called them all inside for dinner. It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. देखो, now they had smaller kids named the smaller kids were actually playing near the house, and the bigger kids, the elder ones, which were the older boys, they were actually working in the field, okay. So all of the women who was there, she called out, supposedly I think it's the wife who called the kids for lunch, I mean dinner. And when they were having their dinner over here, as Lencho had told that it would rain, there would be seen that big drops of rain were seen throughout the fall, and the northeast huge mountains of the clouds were could be seen approaching, matlab the clouds and all of that could be seen, that was going to approach, and it was there. The air was fresh and sweet. The air जो था, it was fresh and sweet, and then the man went out for no other reason. Than to have a pleasure of feeling of the rain on his body, and returned and exclaimed, "These aren't raindrops falling from the sky, they are new coins, and the big drops are 10 cent pieces, and the little ones are 5." What? देखो अब क्या है। Lencho had asked for 100, याद है कुछ 100 pesos. Yes. देखो अब क्या हुआ कि when the one of the guys, one of the man went out with pleasure कि भाई अब बारिश हो रही है, तो I want to enjoy the rain. So he went out, and then he saw and then exclaimed, "Oh my God! It's not the raindrops which are there. It is basically 10 cents के coins and 5 cents के coins, which were bigger and smaller respectively." So with satisfied expression he regarded that the field of ripe corn with its flowers draped in a curtain of rain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain were very large hailstorms began to fall. This truly resembled the new silver coins. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls. देखो अब क्या है इसमें, all of this with a satisfied expression. जो the kid, okay, he was there, तो he said with a satisfied reflection कि हाँ यार, he regarded that the field with the ripe कॉर्न जो थी, कॉर्न ग्रो करी थी, फ्लावर्स थे ना, फ्लावर्स विथ हार्वेस्टिंग वाला, मोर हार्वेस्टिंग वाला, तो दे वर ड्रेप्ड इन अ कर्टन ऑफ रेन, मतलब basically woods are covered with rain. It was showering and showering with rain. But then what happened was there was a strong wind that began to blow, and along with the rain, there were actually a lot of hailstones that began to also fall. These hailstones actually resembled the new silver coins, and then the kids who were there, the elder boys and the younger boys, they went out excited that they would collect the frozen pearls. Really getting bad now, exclaimed the man. I hope it passes quickly. It did not pass quickly. For an hour and for an hour the hail rained out on the house and on the garden, the hillside, and the cornfield, on the whole valley. Now the field was white as if it was covered with salt, and not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed, the flowers were gone on the plant, and Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said his sons, "A plague of locusts, a plague of locusts would have left more than this, and the hail left nothing. This year we will have no corn." The night was a sorrowful one, and all of our work was for nothing, and there's no one that could help us. We'll have to go hungry this year again. So देखो, basically over here what happened was that since because it was raining and hailing, right, snow हो रहा था, since because of the hail it was so damn bad that actually all of the crops got ruined, the flowers also got ruined, everything was ruined. Okay, so basically what happened was that, once again, yeah, so basically, the man Lencho had expected that the rain hopefully it would be just for a little bit, but actually the hail was actually for what, 1 hour. 1 hour हो गए, तो obviously the hillside and all of the cornfield on the corn, all of that was actually ruined, and everything was ruined. The hillside, the cornfield, all of it was ruined, and the valley was like covered with salt. ऐसा लग रहा था कि इतना स्नो था ना कि it felt like कि पूरा valley was covered with salt. Okay, none of the leaves on the trees were there. The corn was totally destroyed, and the farmers plants was actually totally destroyed. Lencho soul अब इतना मेहनत किया, तो obviously he'll be filled with sadness, right? So he was filled with sadness. All of the flowers were also gone, right? So when the storm was past, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons that a plague of locusts matlab kya hota hai? It's basically insects which fly in the big swarms, or that destroy crops. They also would leave something or the other, but this hail which was there, it left nothing, no corn, no sweets, nothing, nothing, nothing. So basically we will have nothing to eat this year. This night was actually a very sorrowful, a sad night, and all of our work was wasted. It was for nothing, right? And there's no clue that who can help us, and we have to go hungry all year. Now there is a oral comprehension check. We have to answer these few questions. So what did Lencho hope for? He hoped that basically all of the stuff would be good and stuff like that. So why did Lencho say the raindrops were like new coins? सोचो सोचो. Why did Lencho say that it was for new coins? बोलो बोलो भाई. Okay, let's start with the last question. देखो, what were Lencho's feelings when the hail stopped? He was filled with sadness and stuff, right? So basically, Lencho was filled with sadness and all of that. Next question. How did the rain change, and what happened to Lencho's fields? So whenever the rain changed because of the snowstorm and stuff like that, right? Once again. Just give me a 1 second till then try and answer these questions, okay? Okay, so right now, whenever what happened was that when what did Lencho hope for? He hoped that because of the rain, his corns and whatever the field needed water, right, for a good harvest, it would be there. Next, why did he say that the raindrops were like new coins? So basically, Lencho had compared the raindrops to new coins. Why did he do that? Because the rain meant good crops and a good crops and money for his family, and he said that the big drops which were like the 10 cents and which were the small drops were like 5 cents for his family, right? तो जो raindrops थे like hail, it was like, yeah, I explained the thing that right उस समय कि 5 cents वाले जब man the kid went out, right? तो उस समय जो the small drops of rain which were there, it was like basically 10 cents of rupees or coins, and the small drops which were there, they were like the 5 cents of coins or rupees. How did the rain change suddenly? It was turned into a hailstorm, right? As because the clouds had started forming and then large hailstorms had started falling from the sky. And what happened to Lencho's field? It was all destroyed. Nothing was left. The crops weren't left. The flowers were destroyed. There was nothing to harvest and they had nothing to eat. And what was his, what happened after he had felt like he felt very sad, he felt very hopeless, and then that their family would have his all work was destroyed and he had nothing to eat, right? So these were a few answers, right? Very easy answers, I would say. This is nice यार. After every few paragraphs इसमें थोड़ा सा questions दिए हुए हैं. So, but in the hearts of all who lived in a solitary house in the middle of the valley, there was a single hope, a help from God. So basically, obviously, whenever you talk about God, right? So he was in the hearts of the solitary house in the middle of the valley, meaning that jo bhi, like all of this is because of God itself, right? He was in the hearts, all of everywhere God is there. So there was only one hope that God would help to fix this. So don't be upset, even though it seems like a total loss. Remember, no one dies from hunger. That's what they say, but no one dies from hunger. So basically, over here now they're saying that don't be upset. Even though it seems like a total loss, remember that no one will die from hunger and see what happens. Although the night, Lencho thought that only of his one hope, that was God, right? That he wanted God to help. So the help of God, whose eyes was had been instructed, see everything and even what is in the deep of one's conscience. So देखो क्या होता है over here, that since because it was a sorrowful light that Lencho had usually, hoped for, so the help from God, right? He expected only one person to help, which was God, to fix all of his crops and stuff. And he was the only eye which was instructed to see every single thing that a person does, and also see one's deep conscience. Conscience meaning a sense of inner feeling that is wrong or right. Okay? So Lencho was a ox of a man. Lencho was a ox of a man working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. So basically, since because Lencho he was working like an ox, right, which was like an animal working in the fields, he spent all of his time working itself, but he knew how to write and read and stuff like that. So the following Sunday, at daybreak, he began to write a letter, which was himself would carry to the town and place it in the mail. It was nothing but a letter to God. He wrote a letter to God that basically मुझे मदद कर दो and stuff like that and stuff like that. So basically, he knew only how to write and stuff. So he wrote a letter. इतना समझ में आ गया. So God, he wrote, if you don't help me, my family, I will go hungry this year. मतलब अगर आप मेरी मदद नहीं करोगे तो मैं मेरी पूरी फैमिली जो रहेगी वो भूखी रहेगी और हमारे पास कुछ खाने के लिए नहीं रहेगा. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again, and I have and to live until this crops comes because of the hailstorm. तो देखो, he needs 100 pesos and in order to actually sow and get all of these crops back, because he only has a few crops until and unless he starts growing them again, right? So he wrote to God on the envelope, and then he put it on inside, and still troubled, and then he went to town. At the post office, he put a stamp on the letter and dropped it inside the mailbox. Peso is basically, you could say, it is a currency in the Latin of the Latin American countries. Now, one of the employees who was a postman and helped at the post office went to his boss, laughing heartily, and showed him the letter to God. Never in his career as a postman he had known that address, and the postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing, but almost immediately he turned serious, tapping the letter on his desk, commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up the correspondence with God." So basically, have you ever seen someone writing a letter to God? No, right? So basically, Lencho wrote a letter to God. He posted it in the post office, and then the postman, he noticed that he had never seen in his whole career. What do you call it? What do you call it? Once again, yeah, that somebody had actually sent a letter to God. Then this postman, he showed it to his postmaster. He was a fat, amiable, matlab friendly and like a pleasant person who was very kind. Okay, so he broke out laughing and all, but then he immediately turned red and serious, and he was tapping the letter on his desk like this, ऐसे से tap कर रहा था, and then tapping the letter, and then he said that, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter and starting up of the correspondence with God." मतलब he said कि काश मेरे साथ भी मेरे पास भी गॉड का एड्रेस होता, and he wished that ये मतलब गॉड का इस लेटर में किसने लिखा है, and then starting of the correspondence का मतलब क्या होता है, एक मिनट बताती हूँ. Give me 1 second. Okay, so देखो, correspondence मतलब he wanted to know who wrote this letter, obviously, and he wanted to write a letter to God. Correspondence मतलब it is basically exchange of letters only. ठीक है. 1 minute. थोड़ा सा ही बाकी. Okay, let's read this. One of the employees who was a postman and also helped at the post box. Uh, 1 second. Give me a second. 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So, in order to shake the writer's faith in God, and the postmaster came up with an idea to answer the letter. So basically, he wanted to help out. The postmaster was actually an amiable person, but he was a kind person. So he thought that he would help out the Lencho, right, which was there, and he would answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident that the answer it was evident that when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it he needed something more than a goodwill and ink. But he stuck to his resolution. He asked for money from his employees, and he himself gave a part of his salary, and several friends of his were obliged to help him to give something for an act of charity. देखो क्या हुआ कि बेसिकली सिंस बिकॉज द पोस्ट मास्टर ही थॉट दैट इंक वगैरह से लिखोगे तो इट वाज जस्ट टू बी अ गुड विल, राइट? ही इंटेंडेड कि भाई सिर्फ इंक और पेपर से तो उसको पता चल जाएगा दैट गॉड हैजंट सीन इट, राइट? सो ही थॉट दैट व्हाट, बेसिकली I'll just stick to goodwill, and I'll just help him out. So he basically took a part of his salary, and also his friends and employees also thought that they would also help Lencho to get 100 pesos, and they said it as a act of charity. Okay, act of charity मतलब गिविंग, लाइक व्हाट डू यू कॉल इट, चैरिटी मतलब क्या होता है? चैरिटी बेसिकली तुम कह सकते हो डोनेशन टाइप कह सकते हो, है ना? तो इट वाज इम्पॉसिबल फॉर हिम टू गैदर द 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only little more than half. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho with it, and the letter containing a single word as the signature of God. Okay, तो बेसिकली एक लेटर लिखना उस पोस्ट मास्टर ने, एंड देन व्हाट डिड ही डू इज, आधे से देखो ही कुडंट गैदर 100 pesos, बट जितने भी पैसोस उसने गैदर किए थे इट वाज ऑलमोस्ट लाइक हाफ, हाफ से थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा, लाइक 50 pesos यू कुड से, 50 pesos से ज़्यादा, तो अराउंड 70-80 pesos ही वॉज एबल टू गैदर. He put that money in a letter. Okay, he put the 80 pesos मान लो in that letter, एंड देन सिग्नेचर डाल दिया गॉड का ऐसे, ठीक है, एंड देन पास टू लेंचो. ठीक है, नाउ यू हैव योर ओरल कॉम्प्रिहेंशन चेक. सो हु और व्हाट डिड लेंचो हैव फेथ इन? इट वाज फॉर गॉड, राइट? लेंचो हैड फेथ इन गॉड, एंड then what did he do? He wrote a letter to God. Who read the letter? The postmaster read the letter, right? He read the letter. And what did the postmaster then do? He gave half of his salary, and also his friends वगैरह contributed to give Lencho something, more than half of the money, and then it was like an act of charity or something. समझ में आ गया? Okay, 1 minute का break. 1 second. I'll just read this out for myself and then I'll explain it to you. 1 minute. Okay, so I'm back. Now let's study this last part. So the following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if the letter if the letter was for him, and it was the postman himself who handed the letter to him. And while the postmaster was experiencing the contentment, that was basically the satisfaction of a man who has performed a good deed, looked from his office. तो क्या हुआ कि द फॉलोइंग संडे, नेक्स्ट संडे क्या हुआ, उसी वीक में जो संडे पड़ता है उसमें लेंचो ही केम अ बिट अर्लियर टू यूजुअली टू जस्ट आस्क whether if there was a letter for him. The postman handed him the letter, and then the postmaster which was there, right, he was basically looking at the Lencho because he did a good deed, right? So obviously he was just seeing the satisfaction, and with pure satisfaction he was experiencing, and he was seeing the man's reaction. Lencho showed not a slightest surprise on seeing the money. He didn't see any surprise or anything like that, and such was his confidence. But he became angry when he counted the money. God could have made a mistake, nor could have not made a mistake, and nor could have denied Lencho what he had requested. देखो, basically it was not all the money that the postmaster had given, right? It was almost like 80 pesos, or more than like half of the pesos which he had asked. So not all the 100 pesos were given by him, right? So when he opened the money, Lencho, when he would open the money, he wasn't grateful for the money he got. He actually counted the money, and then his face was like kind of like what do you call it, grit or something like that, that God could not have made a mistake, and he couldn't have denied what he had requested for. So immediately Lencho went up to the table, asked for a paper and ink on the public writing table, and he started to write with much wrinkling of his brow, caused by the effort he had to make to his express his ideas. And when he had finished, he went to the window by a stamp with his leg, and affixed to the envelope with a blow to his fist. And the moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went and opened it. God, and it said, God, of that money that I asked, only 70 pesos had reached me. So it had given only 70 pesos, not 80. Send me the rest since I need it very much, and but don't send me it through a mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. My God. Okay, देखो क्या है. देखो, immediately after, what did he do? Lencho actually he asked for a pen and paper. He started writing all of this with the ink, right? And then on the public table, he was writing and writing and writing on the wrinkling of his brow. मतलब उसका brow जो था, मतलब eyebrow, it was थोड़ा ऐसे उठा हुआ था, you could say. So it was wrinkling of his eyebrow caused by the effort. He managed to all of his express his ideas जो भी थे. And then when he finished, he bought a stamp, he licked it with and affixed it to the envelope. मतलब he licked it, उसको चाटा, उसके बाद he affixed it on the envelope just like that, on the page of the envelope. And then he blew his fist to the letter box, and he went away. Just after the letter went inside the mailbox, the postmaster actually opened it, and it said that, God, जो भी तुमने पैसे भेजे मेरे को 70 pesos, it has reached me. Please send me the rest of the 30 pesos, since because I need it very much, and don't send me it through a mail. Send me through any other thing that since because don't send it through a mail, because why? Because all of the employees who are there, they are a bunch of crooks. They might steal the money, and they were actually very bad. So was Lencho surprised to find a letter for him with the money in it? No, he was not surprised. He was actually really confident when he opened the letter. What made him angry? Because only 70 pesos has reached him, not the 30 left. ठीक है. So this is the story. This is a very funny, you could say, story, I would say. This was a good story. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure to like this video, subscribe. One second. Subscribe, and also let me know if you would like iske question answers explanation, yeah, or else I'll explain it to you right now itself. If you want, I can explain you the right now itself. Let me know in the chat right now. Once again, live chat में पढ़ रही हूँ. If you want, I'll answer these questions that you have asked me. Like ये questions, ये answers मैं explain कर देती हूँ, or I can just give it to you the answers orally. Okay, G. So I think I'll give you the answers then. Fine. Yeah. Okay. So I'll give answers for the 5 questions, right? देखो, the first question is, who does Lencho have faith in? He had faith in God, right? And then which sentences in the story did he tell? So basically, Lencho basically had a complete faith in God, and after the hailstorm had destroyed him, he wrote a letter to God asking for 100 pesos, right? So that he could actually, sow the field again and then feed his family, right? जो भी crops बिगड़ चुके थे, he wanted to grow them again, and then so that they would have food, and he asked for 100 pesos. Now, why does the postmaster send the money to Lencho? Oh, because of goodwill, na? And then why does he sign the letter to God? So the postmaster was actually touched by Lencho's strong faith in God. He did not want Lencho to actually lose faith in God, so he collected money from his employees. He cut half of his salary and then sent it to Lencho. He signed it as the letter of God and then sent it to Lencho, and would believe that the money was actually from God. Who thought that? Okay. And then next is, did Lencho try to find out who had sent the money? Why not? Basically, he did not, right? Lencho had complete faith that God had only sent him the money. He did not feel like the need to find who actually had sent it. Next question. Why does Lencho think think has taken rest from the money, and what was the irony of the situation? Remember that the irony of a situation is an unexpected aspect to it. Basically जब Lencho को पैसे मिल गए, so he asked for 100, right? So he only got 70 pesos, right? So that was the irony. It was basically an ironic situation, is basically a strange or amusing, because it is word of opposite होता है. Postmaster would have expected a more better reaction, or a good reaction, but he called them crooks, and then he asked for the baki case 30 pesos which God hadn't sent. So in a more proper manner you could write this: Lencho thinks that the post office employees have stolen the rest of the money because he only had received only a 70 pesos instead of 100, because he called them crooks. And the irony is that the same post office employees had actually helped him by collecting the money for him, yet he believed that they were dishonest. Next question देखते हैं. So are there people like Lencho in the real world, and what kind of person was he? So yes, obviously there are people like Lencho in the world who have strong faith in God. Lencho was a simple, hardworking and innocent father, and he believed in God's help, right? Next. अब देखो, there are two kinds of conflicts in the story between humans and natures, and between themselves. How are these conflicts illustrated? So you have to tell this by the story. देखो अब बेसिकली इधर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट पूछ रहा है, तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन ह्यूमंस एंड नेचर क्या था? लेंचो हैड ड्रॉप्ड डिपेंडेंट वाज ही वाज डिपेंडेंट ऑन हिज क्रॉप्स वगैरह. एट फर्स्ट द hailstorm had destroyed all of this. So this shows the struggle between the humans and the powerful forces which were there of nature, right? And that humans cannot control. Lencho could not control the hailstorm. So basically the conflict between the humans and nature is basically that Lencho depended completely on his crops for food, and at first the rain seemed helpful, but soon the hailstorm had destroyed his entire field, and this shows the struggle between the humans and the powerful forces of nature, which humans cannot control. नेक्स्ट सेकंड क्वेश्चन क्या है कि कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ह्यूमंस बिटवीन themselves. तो उसमें क्या है कि आफ्टर लेंचो had received 70 instead of 100, he believed that the postman employees were crooks and had stolen the rest of the money. In reality, they had kindly collected the money and sent help. But this misunderstanding had a lack of trust and misjudgment. इसी की वजह से there was a conflict between the humans themselves. तो कह सकते हो this story actually shows the struggles between the humans against nature and misunderstanding जो हो जाती है between the conflicts of humans. ठीक है, so this is your answers for this whole chapter. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I gave all of the NCERT solutions as well. So please do like this video, subscribe, and also share this video with your friends, guys, because this took a lot of work and मेहनत to do. सो यार मेहनत के लिए लाइक और सब्सक्राइब शेयर डू कर देना, क्योंकि वी आर सो क्लोज टू 100 सब्सक्राइबर्स. सो प्लीज डू हेल्प मी रीच 100 सब्सक्राइबर्स. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please do this. And yeah, that's all for today. Till then, take care and have a great day. Bye, Twilights. Love you all.